Hello, Fit Fam, and welcome back to another episode of the Fit Doc Podcast. This is where we discuss how to stay mentally fit and physically strong. We have guest experts who will come in and talk about various topics that you are concerned about and the current health and wellness trends, and really how to start your wellness journey and turn it into a daily routine. Today, we're going to talk about the importance of donating blood with Tiffany Taylor from the American Red Cross. Tiffany and her team have helped to organize blood donation initiatives throughout the country, and I am so looking forward to talking to her about it because sometimes when you donate blood, it can seem a little scary, but we're trying to help to normalize and discuss the importance of how you give blood and how you're helping to save lives. But before we get started with that topic, we're going to talk about how to keep that heart healthy. One of the things is when you're keeping the beat, try to get in your dark green leafy vegetables because you are what you eat. You need the vitamins, the minerals to get your body and your heart to stay strong. And of course, one of the things, because we are Fit Doc, is getting your exercise in regularly. So that heart, that muscle keeps pumping, gets you to a healthy weight, works to make sure that muscle stays nice and strong. But another thing that we're always talking about, because we just finished dry January, is make sure that you drink more water than you in alcohol. And if you do have any alcohol, it's always in moderation. And today we are with Tiffany Taylor, who is of the national headquarters for the American Red Cross. She is a biomedical communication specialist, which is a mouthful in itself, but she's going to explain to you what her job is exactly. But she's working to engage the diverse populations in the United States to make sure that we are all aware about the importance of donating blood, because everyone always thinks about like, oh, I just donate blood and I just go about my way. But she's going to really give us the behind the scenes look and just putting it together. And so that way, that might even inspire some of us to become blood donors if we haven't done it already before. So welcome, Tiffany Taylor.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Yes. So we are going to jump right in because this is your field. So what exactly is a biomedical communication specialist? Exactly.
And you're right, that is a mouthful. So I started out in biomedical communications, where I support biomed is just a scientific word for blood services. And so I support our blood services with the American Red Cross by helping to tell the story of why blood donation is so important, as well as the lives that blood donation helps to save. And so through storytelling, engaging with the public through media relations outreach, through interviews and things of that nature, just getting the word out about the constant need for blood, who is eligible to donate, and who can help to support this ongoing mission of helping to save lives.
So let's start with the basics. So if somebody wants to donate their blood, what are the qualifications that they need to be? Because that's going to be step one, because I'm trying to make it, give us the platform so we can sort of build up. Why should we donate blood? And what are the qualifications that if we want to donate blood?
So we should donate blood because every 2 seconds, someone in the U.S. actually needs blood. So just as we've been sitting here, you can imagine how many people have needed blood. Every day, the Red Cross must collect about 13,000 blood donations for patients at about 2,500 hospitals nationwide. So it's important to donate blood because blood cannot be manufactured. It can only be given by a generous human being who's willing to roll up their sleeve. And like produce or like milk, blood has an expiration date. It has a shelf life. And so whole blood, depending on the coagulants that are used to help preserve the blood, shelf life can last up to 42 days. So the blood supply must be constantly replenished just to ensure that it's available whenever and wherever it's needed. And for someone who's interested in donating blood and they want to know who's eligible or how they can. Basically, to donate blood, you have to at least be, in most states, 17 years of age.
Mm-hmm.
You can be 16 years if you have parental consent, where allowed by state law. You must weigh at least 110 pounds, and you must be in generally good health to be eligible to donate blood. If you're a high school student or anyone that's 18 years of age and younger, you also have to meet certain height and weight requirements.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have certain needs or medications or any particular ailment that you may have, it's always good to check our donation eligibility tab on our website. And you can visit that at redcrossblood.org, or you can call 1-800-RED CROSS, and it's alphabetized. So you can find out if there's something that may prohibit you from donating blood. But I will say a lot of people think if I have hypertension or high blood pressure, if I have diabetes, that I may not be eligible to donate blood. And you very well may be eligible to donate blood with those conditions if they're well managed with medication. And so we also check blood pressure when you present to donate blood on the day of your donation, just to make sure you're well enough and it's safe enough for you to donate that day anyway.
That's perfect. I mean, because I figure some people, this is probably their first time of really getting their blood pressure checked in years, but they feel the need that they need to do something. They want to donate blood. And when they go and they roll up their sleeve and they're getting their blood pressure checked, for some people, that's really a wake-up call, because you want to help others, but you also have to help yourself and make sure you make your appointment to see your doctor so your blood pressure can be under good control. So that's very good that the blood pressure gets checked when they go in to see you all. Now, little fun fact, before I went to med school, I actually worked in a blood bank at a trauma hospital. So this all, like, I'm really excited to talk to you, because this is very fascinating, because I remember, like, there used to be a blood donation area that was right next to where we were, where our lab was. And the hospital would send out a trauma call, like, a trauma's coming in, and we'd have to get the packed red blood cells ready. We'd have to get the whole blood cells ready. But we don't know, like, what happened after that, because our job was just to get the supply done, get it out. And it's good to see your impact and your role in the community. Now, what is your favorite project that you're working on that you are so passionate about through the American Red Cross?
Well, I can tell you one of my passion projects that I'm working on right now with the American Red Cross is our National Sickle Cell Initiative, which we launched September 2021. And it's an initiative to engage the Black community. As you very well know, as a doctor yourself, that, sickle cell has been around for a long time. But in that time, there have not been many medications. There has not been a lot of awareness and a lot of funding designated towards the advancement of sickle cell, as well as to support those who are battling sickle cell. How that relates to blood is that many patients and individuals who have sickle cell often rely on blood donations when they're going through pain crisis, or just in terms of managing their care. There are sickle cell patients who may have had a stroke. And so as part of their ongoing treatment, they receive red cell exchanges. And that could be every 5 to 6 weeks or bi-monthly, depending on what their care plan is. And so when they get these red cell exchanges, they're actually getting transfused multiple units of blood oftentimes. And they need this on a regular basis just to go about their day to day. They rely on it so that they won't have further complications related to sickle cell. And so what we found during the beginning of the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
when many businesses and organizations had to shut down, many of them were unable to host blood drives. We
Mm.
found that it was our sickle cell warriors who were most impacted. Many of them were called and told that they may not receive their red cell exchange because they were trying to find the blood products.
Oh,
And
wow.
so the blood industry knew that there was something that we needed to do about this immediately. And so the Red Cross took upon itself to work to launch the Sickle Cell Initiative to reach out to partners within the Black community, because the Black community is disproportionately impacted by
Mm-hmm.
sickle cell disease. And so we have been working with a lot of amazing national partners like the NAACP, Jack and Jill, all Divine Non-Greek organizations through the National Pan-Hellenic Council. And I know I'm going to miss an organization, but so many great organizations and HBCUs to engage the Black community in rolling up a sleeve and donating blood. And I'm so excited to say that within the first year that we've seen a great increase in the number of our blood donors who are Black. And even on the back end, as you were talking about working in a blood bank and getting
Mm-hmm.
those calls about the need for blood, many of our team members who work in the centers that have to find the blood units for those calls sometimes, they've found that we've been able to provide those right type, more compatible match
Mm-hmm.
blood types for those sickle cell patients. And just to explain that a little bit too, when a patient with sickle cell receives so many blood transfusions, after a while, their body can begin to reject transfusions that are not closely matched to their blood
That's
type,
right.
or
Mm-hmm.
even the antigens on their blood,
Mm-hmm.
which oftentimes is related, DNA and genetics. And we often find that we find a closer match with those who are Black with another donor that's Black and has that similar blood type.
Okay.
So by increasing our blood donations within this target segment to support our sickle cell patients, we have been able to meet those needs of those patients who require that closer match.
Wow, that is fascinating. So, is there one part of the country that you notice that you get more support or more donations as opposed to another?
Well, we do have parts of the country where we have specific, I would say, more outreach, because
Mhm.
of it has to deal with population and
Mhm.
demographics, and it also has to deal with where we have a Red Cross presence.
Okay.
So, although we cover a large part of the country, there are some states where we do not collect blood. But I can tell you that the largest parts where we see a lot of blood donations, because we serve a larger population there, would be within those Southeast
Hmm.
states. But we are seeing increases throughout the country. But we do see a larger population, as you can imagine, in those Southeastern states, due to number of HBCUs, number of Black population, things of that nature.
So now
From
when you I was gonna say, but when you show up on the HBCU campus, what is the mindset of a student? Because I remember when I was in college, there'll be some people like, oh no, I don't have time for this. Or you know what, get back to me later. I gotta go study for this test. Is it something that they're more open to now than maybe they might have been 5, 15, 20 years ago?
So, what we are learning is that relationship is key,
Mhm.
which I believe has always been key. So, instead of just showing up, what we are making sure that we do is that we're extending bridges and opportunities to these students. The Red Cross just launched its first cohort this past fall of an HBCU ambassador program.
Hmm.
And through that program, we provide scholarships and opportunities for students at HBCU college campuses to take on a student ambassador role of helping to recruit their
Hmm.
fellow students and faculty to donate blood. So what they do is they work with our team in terms of learning all the background information of how to
Hmm.
set up a blood drive, how to host the drive, how to get the word out and recruit for the drive, and even how to talk with leadership to see where they can have the drive, all the logistics, right?
Hmm.
And so it's teaching them all these planning skills and leadership skills, creative and even communication skills, right? And so at that point, they host the drive and they're able to work with some of the on-campus organizations. So they may work with the sororities and fraternities. They may work with the Black Student Union. It just depends on how creative and how engaging that ambassador wants to be. That ambassador may also work with the nursing program on
Hmm.
campus or the medical school. So depending on their strategy and approach in which they work with our team members on, that kind of helps lead the direction for that drive. And we've seen great success. I've had a chance to meet a number of these HBCU ambassadors. They are so bright, so driven, and excited. And many of them have said, prior to being introduced to this program, they did not know a lot about sickle cell or blood donation. They never thought about donating blood, but through this program, they've learned so much about the importance of it, which has helped them to be able to share this information with their friends and the entire student body. And so we know that we have the influence to influence those around us who we're closest to with the information and experiences that we have.
Now that is truly a win-win situation because, I'm getting a scholarship, but at the same time, I'm getting the experience that I need for the real world. And then I'm also helping my community and helping the world. I mean, you can't get any better than that. I'm like, sign me up.
Yes, definitely a win-win. And they're also exposed to mentors within our organization as well. So
Mhm.
they're getting professional mentorship support while they're going through the cohort. So it is amazing.
And now is the cohort for an entire semester or 2 semesters? How long does that
It's
last for?
it's 2 semesters, so a
Wow.
school year.
Okay. And is it only on the HBCU campuses?
Right now, it's only offered on HBCU campuses. We have other blood programs that are targeted towards just general college students, but
Mhm.
this was specifically targeted to kind of be an umbrella under the sickle cell initiative because we realized that although we've always had college programs to encourage blood donations, we've
Mhm.
always had a program that we call Leader Saves Lives, which
Mhm.
awards scholarships to college students and high school students who host drives and help recruit on their own. We realized that it's almost as if we were not reaching at an equitable pace our
Mhm.
HBCUs like we were reaching the other college campuses.
Mhm.
So this is a way of us also making sure that we're just as inclusive and diverse in all aspects of our outreach to our college students.
Now, Tiffany, are there any other programs that you think our audience might be interested in? Because you already have me with the cohort one, and then now looking into the leadership ones, I can make sure that I tell college students and high school students about, because they're always looking for things to do in the community, and this is something that's totally different. I mean, you can go ahead and give blood at any point in time, but the sheer fact that you are leading a blood drive, that's an even huger or bigger or far greater or far impactor or impactful thing that you can do.
For sure, Dr. Reed. I mean, you kind of hit on one of the things that we're working to raise greater visibility around, and that's in the realm of public health. When you talked about how important it is to get your blood pressure checked, we realize that many people may not go see their primary care physician as often as they may come to donate blood. We may be seeing a doctor's patients more than they are at times, if they come in and they donate every 56 days when they're eligible, right? So we have an opportunity to kind of have a closer watch and reading and gauge on what their blood pressure is every time that they come in, what their iron levels are every time that they come in, because we check their iron as well. And so what we are providing through our Red Cross Blood Donor app is donors are able to see over time their reading of their blood pressure. I can go on the app right now and I can see my reading from when I first donated as a teenager to now. And I can see if there are any changes. I can see if there's spikes. And also, too, we're providing information to those presenting donors when they come and we find that their blood pressure is too high. We're providing them with advisement that they can read over, and they can take these readings back to their primary care physician for further follow-up. We think it's great because it helps keep that conversation going. Sometimes when you go to the doctor, the doctor asks you, how's everything going? And you may not remember that, like, hey, my blood pressure was up about a month ago when I tried to donate blood. But sometimes just having that in your phone already and saying, hey, I just want to share these numbers with you, or just calling them and saying, hey, these are the numbers that I'm getting. Maybe we need to adjust something, right, in the treatment plan. Also, too, what we are providing to all self-identified African-American blood donors is we are providing free sickle cell trait screening.
Okay.
So we realized, too, that sickle cell trait screening was not widely available to all newborns until about 2006, when it was made mandatory across all states. And so there are a lot of people, my age and older or younger, who have never been screened for sickle cell. And it's just good to have that information to know, because it helps in so many ways. And so we found, even through this program, that there are people who are coming back and saying, hey, I got my screening results in the app. I didn't even know I had sickle cell trait all this time. And so we just advise them that regardless of what their results are, whether it's positive or negative, if it is positive, to follow up with their physician to find out what those results mean for them. And of course, if it's negative, it's just good to know for awareness.
Yes. And that is key, because being in New York, we just assume that everybody is on board with everything. And what we're noticing lately is we're having patients who are in the process of wanting to have children, and one of the spouses has sickle cell or the trait, and then the other spouse is coming in and they're like, well, can you screen me for sickle cell disease because my spouse has this? And, we're thinking like, oh, but you grew up here in New York, so you should have it. But then we're finding that we're getting people that are coming in from out of the country and other states who didn't have that testing done. So it's very good that when they go to draw the blood, that they're also finding out. The other thing that I'm also finding out too is we have patients who, with COVID, we haven't seen some people in years, but some have been very consistent about making sure they go get their blood work done. And one or two of them have come in recently like, yeah, Dr. Reed, I realized I hadn't seen you in a while. And when I went to go to get blood, they told me that my blood pressure was a little too high. So they want me to see you first, and then I can come back. But it's a very valuable tool, especially right now. We're all so busy and we're thinking we're on top of everything. And the sheer fact that the American Red Cross takes the time to make sure that that one little thing, which is a huge thing in the grand scheme, because if your blood pressure is out of control, you can run the risk of a stroke, heart attack, suddenly dying. Right. But you want to save somebody else's life. which is very noble, but we have to make sure that you are fine before you can go and save someone else. And we always talk about putting on the oxygen mask before, you put it on somebody else. This is a classic example of it. And Tiffany, do you have any closing remarks for people as to maybe who might still be on the fence and saying, well, should I donate blood? Should I not? Because I can't afford to lose all the blood that I have, even though it's not that much that you're giving. Any parting words?
Definitely. I've heard that before. Oh, I don't have enough blood to give. And I'm here to tell you that most adults have at least 10 pints of blood in their body already. And when you donate blood, you're only giving 1 pint of blood. For those who are afraid of needles or don't like needles, I don't like needles either, but I'll tell you this. There's no greater feeling than knowing that you're helping to save another life. When I think about some of my friends whose lives have been saved, even my grandmother, whose life was saved a few years ago when she had a slip and fall, and because she was on blood thinners, she lost a lot of blood very quickly. She needed about 2 to 3 pints of blood. And it was during a time when we had a low blood supply, during the winter time, when people get busy and the holidays come. So my parting word would be, like I said earlier, blood is, it has a shelf life. It needs to be replenished constantly, and it can only be given by another living, breathing human being. So I would encourage you, if you're eligible and you can, to roll up a sleeve, donate blood. I promise you it does not hurt. It's just a little pinch, but after you donate, you just feel so gratified, and the cookies and the juice are the bomb.com afterwards. And if you're looking for an excuse not to exercise that day, donate blood. Because after that, you can't exercise. You get to rest that day, and everybody treats you real nice because you gave the gift of life. So to schedule an appointment or to find your nearest blood donation opportunity, you can visit redcrossblood.org, or you can call 1-800-RED CROSS.
Thank you so much, Tiffany Taylor. You were on a roll until you were talking about not to exercise. You get
I know, on the Fit Doc podcast.
Sure. Yeah.
But, you may have someone who just needs they've been going in hard on their fitness.
That'll be the rest day, right?
A rest day. That right. One day of rest.
So I'm encouraging everyone out there, Fit Fam, go ahead, donate blood. You will save a life. You might not find out whose life, but somewhere along the line, you are saving a life. And just make sure when you schedule that appointment, it's not an exercise day. It is a rest day.
That's right.
And thank you so much, Tiffany Taylor, for being a part of the Fit Doc podcast.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. It's my pleasure.
All righty. So this is probably one of my favorite segments. It's called IRL, in real life, because as a mom, as a wife, as a physician, as a daughter, you are always on the go. And sometimes when I think that I'm going to just have a moment to relax, boom, you got to turn up the notch and go right into full gear. My family always likes to say whenever they travel with me for vacation, there's always an emergency. And probably recently we were on the plane and they were like, yeah, we went through vacation and we didn't have an emergency. And all of a sudden the call bell went off. They were asking for a doctor. Turns out that there was a passenger on the plane whose eardrum had ruptured. So I had to attend to that. And when I went back to my seat, across the aisle, there was another lady, and she turned to me and she said, girl, I'm so happy that you responded to that, because I'm a doctor and I am not trying to have any type of liability. But, as a doctor, we always get called and we have to be ready. So Fit Doc to the rescue. No problem at all. If there's an emergency, I will gladly step in and do whatever I have to do. But I know that sometimes as a physician, we sort of feel like, oh my gosh, we're never off, we're always on. But for me, I feel it's something that we are blessed to do, an opportunity that we have. So whenever there's someone in need, here to help you. Fit fam, I know we gave you a lot to think about today. We discussed the importance of donating blood. So visit the Red Cross's website or check out the link that's posted below. But hopefully, we've inspired you to donate blood, get the family moving with exercise, or even just visit the cardiologist to make sure everything is fine with your heart. As always, like, comment, share this podcast with someone who needs it. And until next time, Fit Fam, see you later and be healthy.